Well, Dave, big game for the Seahawks coming up this weekend against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but even bigger than that is the celebration of the 50 greatest players to ever put on a Seahawks uniform, and we've had a chance to speak to a number of them, but I think we all know who my favorite is, and he's with us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. He's one of the great human beings of all time, let alone one of the great Seahawks of all time. He's got a really cool thing going on that we're going to talk about as well. You know him, you love him. He is the one, the only Cliff Avril here with us once again. Cliff, how are you, man?
Man, I cannot complain. I cannot complain at all. How are you guys doing? That's the real question.
We're doing great.
That's not the real question. We're fine, man. We're fine. Especially when we got you on the radio, man. You're a hard guy to get a hold of, but you're busy these days.
A little busy, doing a lot of different things. But, I always try to find time to get on the line with you guys.
Well, we're going to talk about the Cliff Avril Family Foundation, the Dining to Make a Difference event coming up. But I want to talk to you about being named one of the 50 greatest to ever put on a Seahawks uniform. Now, first of all, I would imagine a massive honor. But I'm just curious, your years in Detroit, could you ever have pictured being somewhere where you are revered the way you are now, out here in Seattle, where you're looked upon as a legend and you're part of this community and everybody just really is just such a huge fan of yours?
To answer your question, no. Would have never thought that. My wife, actually, funny story, we're planning for this day or whatnot, and I'm like, hey, my brother wants to come up, and I'm telling her about all these different people coming up. She's kind of looking at me like, I'm not saying it's not a big deal or anything, but, why are so many people coming up? And I looked at her, I'm like, this is like the Hall of Fame for me. I don't know, I'm not going to make it to the Hall of Fame. This is the Hall of Fame for me. So, yes, I want my friends and family there. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a big deal, man. I talked to Mike B about it as well, and I'm just telling him, like, hey, man, like, you got to understand, the NFL's been around for 100-some-odd years. The Seahawks have been around for 50-something years. And, bro, there's a lot of teams, there's a lot of players that come in and out of this, and we were selected as a top 50. Like, that's a huge freaking deal, man. And, and he was like, man, I never thought of it that way. I'm like, there will never be another top 50. Like, there'll be a top 100 maybe, you know what I mean? But, like, the first 50 years. So, for me, it's an honor. It's an honor to have been a part of something so special, to create so many memories for so many people. But then again, just being considered a top 50 player for an NFL team, man, it's truly an honor, and I'm grateful that it's for the city of Seattle.
No, man, it is amazing. And who are you looking forward to seeing? Is there anybody? Because there's a bunch of guys, and I got to broadcast the game, but like Rufus Porter, I haven't seen Roof in since he left, actually, back in like the 90s. And is there anybody like that for you that you look on that list and go, oh man, I can't wait to see this guy?
I mean, all the greats, right? Of course, I bump into Walter all the time, but, like, he's a Hall of Famer, right? So seeing Walt, I would have loved to have seen, I think, Jacob Green and some of these other D linemen that put on the jersey before me. I'm just a big fan of the guys that came before me that kind of paved the way to be able to, again, be proud to be a Seahawk. So some of these different guys, but I would say, like I said, I'm a big fan of Jacob Green. So I'd say him, Zorn, some of those different guys. It's just good to be around these guys. And every time I see them, I'm like, hey, congrats. They're like, congrats on what? Top 50 just to see. I'm a top 50 guy just like you. You know what I mean? And I don't know if they know the full list, but I do. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause, it's a big deal to me. It's a big deal to me. So I'm just looking forward to getting around all the guys.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know. The amazing part of the story, Cliff, is it's not like you were in Detroit for a season or two. You were there for 5 seasons, and unfortunately, you were part of a winless season, which I can't imagine as somebody playing at the highest level of their sport and being as competitive as you guys are, how tough that was. It must have felt like, man, is it ever going to get better? And that now you fast forward, you move to a completely different city, and you're revered. I mean, was there ever a point in Detroit where you lost hope? Like, am I ever gonna win? Am I gonna find success in the NFL in terms of winning?
No, you know what's interesting in my mindset, I think ignorance plays a little bit of a role in this too, but my mindset was just more of, I always just kept saying, hey, just don't be the reason why. Like, that was always my thing. Like, don't be the reason why we're not winning. Be that little spark of light, of hope, of, especially knowing that there was going to be a new head coach coming too, right? Like understanding that, hey, your resume speaks for itself. So that played a big role. But then I never lost hope because honestly, like, it's not like I've ever won championships until I got here anyways, but it was more of a pride thing of, again, taking pride in just putting on an NFL jersey every single week. I'm from a small town right outside of Jacksonville, Florida. So putting an NFL jersey on every week, like, I'm excited about that. I don't care how bad we are as a team. Don't be the reason why, and go appreciate this opportunity that you have in front of you and put your best foot forward every single week. And that's kind of, how I operate now.
Hey, Cliff, so when you and Mike B came in together, when they signed you here, I remember, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but it seemed like maybe your relationship got off a little rocky, you and Michael Bennett. I know you guys are just as tight as can be, but I remember one time seeing him saying something to you on the sidelines and you started laughing, and I was like, okay, they're good. But like early on, was there a little bit of rockiness, just getting to know what he is all about? Because that dude he's hilarious. He just makes me laugh every time he opens his mouth.
Pure comedy. Yeah, when we first got together, there was a game playing against the Atlanta Falcons actually, and we're kind of we're competitors, but I very much different though. Like, we're yin and yang. Like, he's the very boisterous, going to tell you how he feels, and you might like it, you might not like it, you don't know what he's going to say, and I'm the guy that kind of keeps to himself. And we're both new to the team, and we come off to the sidelines, and he says something to me, something crazy like, "Hey, man, you need to rush like this," and he's telling me what I need to do. And I looked at him, and mind you, now we're up by like 25 points or something crazy like that during the game. And I'm looking at him like, "Bro, I have way more sacks than you. Like, stop talking to me." Now I'm spazzing out, you know what I mean? And to the point where they have to separate us, like literally walk me down to the offensive side of the sideline or whatever. And now I'm mad. I'm the type of person, if I'm mad, like, we don't have anything else to talk about the rest of the game. You know what I mean? Like, if we're playing, we're not even communicating like that, but we're still making plays now, but we're not even. So I'm kind of mad. And then at the end of the game, we both get on the bus. Mike is always the last person to get on the bus. And I sit down, I sit down in the back of the bus, and finally he decides to get on. And again, I'm mad. So I'm thinking like, okay, we might square up. Like, we might actually have to brawl right here, right now. You know what I mean? If he says the wrong thing to me. And he sits behind me. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, he's sitting behind me. He has an angle on me. Like, I'm thinking, I'm still mad. I don't know who he is. Like, he has an angle on me. And he taps me on my shoulder and whispers in my ear. And he's like, "Hey, now I got to go tell my wife she can't be friends with your wife because you and I can't get along. What kind of foolishness is that?" And that was like the icebreaker. From that point on, we've been the best of friends, like never got into a fight or anything else. But I'm glad he was that way, because I would have held the grudge the entire season. Like, that's just my personality. But he's the person that, he broke the ice. So ever since then, yeah, that's just my guy now, man.
You'd have been stubborn the whole season.
Awesome. Oh yeah, I would have spoken to him the rest of the season. Like, I would be okay with that. Like, but
I like that he brought the wives in, though. I mean, that's the clincher right there. It's like, come on.
That was the clincher. He's like, "Nah, I got to tell my wife she can't be friends with your wife because we can't get along." Like, come on, man.
Hey, Cliff, what's it like? I mean, obviously coming here, winning a title is huge, and then you go back the next year, and obviously we know how it ended. We don't need to cover that, but it's got to be kind of flattering for you to hear, and I'm sure you've heard it more than a million times, that if Cliff Avril doesn't get hurt, they win that game. We know the play that ended it, but people forget that the defense blew a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter, and people often forget about that and they point to you getting hurt and say, "Man, if he were there, we're talking about 2 in a row." Do you ever, A, do you hear that, and B, do you think of it? Do you think, man, they're right, it would have been 2 in a row?
Yeah, I do. I've never been missed so much for a game outside of that game. Like, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, if you didn't get hurt, we win the Super Bowl." And I do think about it from time to time as far as for what could have been. But I'm a glass half full guy, and I also understand that I did win one too. You know what I'm saying? So like, yes, 2 is better than 1 for sure, but 1 is better than none. You know what I mean? So, so just understanding that, that's kind of where I get peace in all of that. But yeah, I definitely think about, you know, if I was able to stay in the game, because what ended up happening, I ended up getting hurt. They ended up double teaming Michael Bennett, and then it kind of not Peyton, but Brady ends up having a lot more time to be able to throw the ball and all these different things. So, yeah, I definitely think about it from time to time. But, again, I try to dwell on the fact that I have a Super Bowl ring because I know a lot of guys that don't.
Well, Cliff, I remember the first time that you had a media badge on, and I remember going up to you and saying, "Oh, you came over to the dark side, man." But tell us about that transition and how you you know, when and also when you were done, like it was pretty easy decision, right? Because you had like a neck thing or something, I think, going on.
Yeah.
So, but as far as media, did you ever think that you would get into it, and are you loving it?
So yeah, because I had a neck injury, I had to retire. I mean, if I was crazy enough, I probably could have kept playing, but it wasn't worth it for me. But you know, you talk about the media. No, I never thought I would have been doing anything in the media space. I never thought I would have wanted to do anything in the media space because honestly, even when I was with Seattle, like I was never like the media darling per se, right? Like we had enough guys that wanted a mic in front of them that would talk and give you all the sound bites you want, from Richard Sherman to Michael Bennett to, you know, whoever else. So I never looked into it like that. But when I retired, I thought it was a great opportunity to, one, get better at being able to speak in public, getting better at being able to kind of, you know, paint my thoughts with words and different things like that. So getting a radio show and all those different things was really cool. And it honestly still benefits me today. I'm not doing as much media now, but when I first retired, it definitely wasn't a thing that I expected to be a part of. And I tell you what, the hard part was honestly balancing the act between all these guys are still my friends that are on the team, also being able to tell you how I feel, and also being able to still walk into that locker room and make sure those guys don't look at me crazy for saying something crazy about them.
Yeah.
So, like, it was such a balancing act of understanding that, hey, criticize the play and not the player. Once I learned that, it became easy. But that initial shock of learning those two things was really hard for me.
Hey, as far as this top 50 goes, how cool is it to know that the guys you played with are a big part of? I mean, Earl and Cam and Sherm and Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright. I mean, it feels like almost, you know, and Michael Bennett, obviously, but it feels like that entire defense is part of the 50 greatest ever do it. When you guys were playing and you were in the middle of it, did you realize, man, we've got something special here? This is different. There's good defense and then there's generational defense. Were you aware of that, or does that take you being removed from the game to really reflect on it that way?
In the moment, no. When we all sit down and kind of have, you know, all of us would get together from time to time and go have dinner or lunch or something like that. And the question, I'm probably the person that's going to ask it the most, is like, hey, like when we were in our heyday, did y'all realize how good we were? And some of the guys would be like, you know, we pay attention to numbers, but not really. And then now looking back at it, like, man, we were really freaking good. Like, we were awesome, you know, on the football field. So in the moment, no, we're just out there playing for one another, having a great time. And it's not till after the fact we're able to dissect and see why we were so good, but more so than anything, realizing how good we really were when we look back at, you know, how these other defenses and seeing how they played and different things like that. But in the moment, no, we had no clue. We were just a bunch of guys, young guys playing for one another, having a great time and trying to, you know, demolish the people in front of us.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were the scoring champs 4 years in a row. Nobody's done that.
Unreal.
Not the 85 Bears and everything, but you had some good relationship. We talked about Michael Bennett, but I remember you said something about game night at KJ Wright's. Tell us about that. You were part of that, and that was just, you know, just kind of exemplifies the kind of relationship you guys all had. You were all super tight, but tell us about what kind of games are we playing at KJ Wright's house?
You know, it's funny, but you're correct though, right? Like the relationship we had was much more than just football. It was kids' birthday parties. It was maybe even taking a trip to Vegas. It was game nights, and it's something as simple as playing Jenga. It's something as simple as playing Uno. Like we're not gambling or anything like that. It's really game night with the family, just hanging out, just having some fun, decompressing a little bit. And we're literally just doing it just to, again, decompress. But it also was building that camaraderie. It was also building that relationship with one another. KJ, honestly, most times than not, he was behind me, on my side of the defense. So, just building that trust with one another, it organically happened. It wasn't something like, we need to do this so this can happen. It was we were doing this, and it just was a byproduct of doing that made us so good on the football field. And this was with KJ. Then I might go hang like every Saturday night. The entire D line, we forced each other to go have dinner with one another. Whether it be with me, Ben, with Mike B, like all these things, I think truly made us great on the football field. And again, it was all organic.
Well, it was beyond special to watch it and live it and experience that whole thing. And before we get into what you're doing, we're speaking with Cliff Avril, and we're going to talk about his Dining to Make a Difference event that's coming up here in a sec. But when you look at the team now, Cliff, and you see Mike Macdonald and you see his defense, I know you're out there on the post game you're analyzing what you're seeing, so you got a good grip on it. How different is this defense from what you guys were doing under Pete? And when you look at it, do you feel like, man, that's a defense I could excel in, or it's confusing, or what's your take on the Seahawks as they sit today with that defense?
I like everything about the mentality of what Coach Mike Macdonald is trying to implement on the defensive side of the ball. I like that he's getting a bunch of guys that can do a lot of different things, that can go out there. They're not going to take anything from anybody. They're going to go out there and hit and play hard, right? Like that's the fundamental, that's the foundation of that defense, and I love everything about it. Now, I would say the biggest difference with what he's implementing and what he's doing with his defense in comparison to what we did, our defense was very simple. Like 80% of the time, you knew what we're going to line up, where we're going to line up at. You knew what coverage we were going to play, and our whole thing was you got to deal with it. In the NFL, like when somebody lines up the same exact way, you know where the holes are. So do we. So that makes it easier for us to be able to bait you to throw it there and go make some plays, right? So that was the difference between what we do and then in comparison to what Mike Macdonald's doing. He's giving you a gazillion different looks. Different guys are blitzing. Pass rushers are dropping, which would be an issue for me as a pass rusher. But, at times you got to drop for the sacrifice you have to sacrifice yourself for the rest of the defense, which is great. Right. So I would say that's the biggest difference is all the different looks that he's giving, which is confusing guys, which is very beneficial and it works for what he's trying to do. It's just completely different from kind of how we operated. But I love everything this defense is showing. Now, the biggest thing, and you said this earlier on the show, and what made us great was we were consistent for multiple years. Games, consistency for multiple years is what allowed that defense to be considered so great. Now that's what they have to go create, right? Being consistent through the process. You can't have 2 games where you're dominant and then 1 game where you give up, 300 yards or whatever it may be. Not saying that's what they're doing, but that's what they got to strive to continue to try to do. And the better that defense plays, the more explosive and better I think the offense is going to be personally. Right. So, again, I like what they're doing. I like the mentality. I like the identity that they're trying to create as a defense. Now they just got to go out there and replicate it week in and week out and create something special.
Well, Cliff, you got this is a big couple of days for you because we got the celebration coming up on Sunday. Tampa Bay Buccaneers again, Seahawks getting together, but the celebration of the top 50 players ever in Seahawks history. Of course, Cliff is one of them. And then the very next night is the Cliff Avril Family Foundation hosting the 12th and final Dining to Make a Difference. Now, first of all, was that intentional, 12? You were going to do 12 of them
Yes.
and that's it, or it just happened to be that way?
It happens to be that way. I mean, we've been thinking about it for some years, but I'm like, 12 just feels iconic, right, for the area. You know what I mean? And a way to go out. But then also, the date also coincides with the top 50. So it was just making it a big celebration collectively for the weekend, with being celebrated as a top 50. Then, doing the final Dining to Make a Difference dinner. Now, it's the final Dining to Make a Difference dinner, but it's not the foundation will continue to live on. The foundation will continue to keep making an impact in the community and keep growing. It's just the fundraiser component of it. This is the final year of that.
Is this the same foundation? You were building homes in Haiti for a while. Is this the same thing?
Yes, the same exact foundation where we were building homes in Haiti. We built a school in Haiti. We do a wide range of things here in the city of Seattle. One thing in particular that I'm very grateful and proud of being able to be a part of is we have a mentoring program called the Cliffs Crew. I've had these young men since they were in 3rd and 4th grade. Now these boys are in 10th and 11th grade. And it's all about exposing them to different opportunities, different professions, showing them, they can be much more than just an athlete or just an entertainer. They can, be an engineer of some sort, a lawyer of some sort, whatever it may be. But our big thing is, you can't dream about things that you don't know exist. So we want to expose them to all these different professions so they can dream big and go be, game changers in their own communities.
Oh, that's awesome. So as far as this, this event, can fans can they get involved with this? Is it sold out? Is it available for them to attend, or at least go online and bid on auction items or donate? How can fans get involved?
All of the above are still available. You can go to cliffavrilfamilyfoundation.org to get all the information on the event, all the information on what the foundation's all about. And for us, it's all about fans and people coming out to support this organization, not just myself, but, supporting the different things that we're doing in the community. I'm big on understanding that it takes a village to make a difference. So we all have to come together to make a difference in this community of Seattle, in the world, to be honest with you. But what makes this dinner also so special, I almost forgot, what makes this dinner also so special is that some of your favorite Seahawks will be the people that are serving the food to you. So that's what's been the hype about this dinner is a lot of your Seahawk players will be there. In particular, a lot of your top 50 players will be there because they just got celebrated on Sunday. Now they want to give back to the community on Monday.
Nice.
Awesome.
cliffavrilfamilyfoundation.org. Again, cliffavrilfamilyfoundation.org is where you can get all the info. You can be a part of this event. You can be a part of everything Cliff's got going on outside of this event and just impacting so many different areas. A really cool thing you've always done, Cliff, and this is a great thing as well. And man, we love you. I love you. It's always great to have you on the show and appreciate you cutting out time, and we wish you the best with this event, and hopefully there's not such a big gap between now and the next time we talk. Let's talk again soon. How about that?
Let's make it happen, man. Let's make it happen. I appreciate y'all always, bringing me on, having a good time. I appreciate everything you guys are about as well. And then also we need to get this W this weekend. That'd be important too.
Well, thanks,
Cliff. We appreciate you, man.
Always. Anytime. No problem. Thank you guys.